Good morning. It is, what is it? Friday, the 5th of January, 2024. I'm Ephraim Hernandez.
Lisa Hernandez. Hello.
And we're here this morning because we are going to record the reading of the Torah portions for this week. Today is the last day for this portion, but we want to read it and get it out there. And this is our third attempt. So we're reading out of Exodus, from Exodus 1:1 to Exodus 6:1. If you want to pull out your Bibles and follow along with us, you're more than welcome to. We are going to be reading out of the Hebraic Roots. I'm going to be reading the Hebraic Roots version scriptures. My wife is going to be reading out of the Tree of Life version. And yes, they're different. I just started reading out of this because I've had this for years and I haven't used it. We usually read out of the Jerusalem Bible, which is this one here, but as you can see, it's kind of fallen apart. So we need to purchase another one of those. So I'm going to read out of the one that we haven't been reading out of forever. I'm going to read out of that. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that we have to come together and be an influence and be a blessing to any of those that are seeking truth, seeking your word, seeking life. We pray, Father, that your favor would be with us, that you would give us the ability to speak clearly and to be kavanah, be aware of what we're saying, and that anyone who comes across this reading of the Torah portion would be blessed and would be able to receive something from you in the name of Yeshua. Amen.
With intent, yes.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. We've got to get adjusted here a little bit. There we go. Numbers. Okay, Exodus. Go ahead and start reading. You're already there.
Okay, this is Parashat Shemot, Exodus 1. Now these are the names of Bnei Israel who came into Egypt with Jacob, each man with his family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah; Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin; Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. The souls that came out of the line of Jacob numbered 70 in all, while Joseph was already in Egypt. Then Joseph died, as did all his brothers, and all that generation. Yet Bnei Israel were fruitful, increased abundantly, multiplied, and grew extremely numerous. So the land was filled with them. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, who did not know Joseph. He said to his people, "Look, the people of Bnei Israel are too numerous and too powerful for us. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or else they will grow even more numerous, so that if war breaks out, they may join our enemies, fight against us, and then escape from the land." So they set slave masters over them to afflict them with forced labor, and they built Pithom and Ramses as storage cities for Pharaoh. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied, and the more they spread. So the Egyptians dreaded the presence of Bnei Israel. They worked them harshly and made their lives bitter with hard labor, with mortar and brick, doing all sorts of work in the fields. In all their labors, they worked them with cruelty. Moreover, the king of Egypt spoke to the Hebrew midwives, one of whom was named Shiphrah and the other Puah, and said, "When you help the Hebrew women during childbirth, look at the sex. If it's a son, then kill him, but if it's a daughter, she may live." Yet the midwives feared God, so they did not do as the king of Egypt commanded them, but let the boys live. So the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and said to them, "Why have you done this? Let the boys live." The midwives told Pharaoh, "Because the Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are like animals and give birth before the midwife comes to them. So God was good to the midwives, and the people multiplied, growing very numerous. Because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. But Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, You are to cast every son that is born into the river, but let every daughter live.
So I just want to clarify a few things in that reading. First of all, B'nai means sons, um, sons of Israel, and in that portion where it says they are like animals, in my version it doesn't say that. It says that they are lively and are delivered ere the midwife come unto them. So before the midwives were able to get there, the women were giving birth. Um, so I just want to clear that up. It doesn't
And
say
also,
animals.
it says the souls that came out of the line of Jacob numbered 78, I think, is what it
It's
says in yours.
75.
Oh,
So
75.
the Septuagint says 70,
Mm-hmm.
and so a lot of the tradition, the Bibles that come from that, and a couple of other places say 70, but the other older sources or Dead Sea Scroll sources say 75. So in this version, that's corrected to 75. This version it says 70. Chapter 2. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the women conceived, and bore a son. And when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch. And she put the child therein, and laid it in the flags by the river's bank. And his sister stood afar off. What was her name?
Miriam.
Miriam. To know what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe in the river, and her maidens walked along by the riverside. And she saw the ark among the flags, and sent her handmaid to fetch it. And she opened it, and saw it, even the child, and behold, a boy that wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister, Miriam, to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call you a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for you? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maiden went, and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away, and nurse it for me, and I will give you your wages. And the woman took the child, and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moshe, and said, Because I drew him out of the water. Moshe is the same as Moses. And it came to pass in those days, when Moshe was grown up, that he went out unto his brothers, and looked on their burdens. And he saw an Egyptian smiting a Hebrew, one of his brothers. And he looked this way and that, and when he saw that there was no man, he smote the Egyptian, and hid him in the sand. And he went out the second day, and behold, 2 men of the Hebrews were striving together. And he said to him that did the wrong, Wherefore smite you your fellow? And he said, Who made you ruler and judge over us? Thinks you will kill me as you did the Egyptian? And Moshe feared, and said, Surely the thing is known. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moshe. But Moshe fled from the face of Pharaoh, and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. Now the Cohen, or priest of Midian, had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moshe stood up, and helped them, and watered their flock. And when they came to Ruel their father, he said, How is it that you are come so soon today? And they said, An Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds, and moreover he drew water for us, and watered the flock. And he said unto his daughters, And where is he? And why is it that you have left the man? Call him, that he may eat bread. And Moshe was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moshe Zipporah, his daughter. And she bore a son, and called his name Gershom. For he said, I have been a stranger in a strange land. And it came to pass in the course of those many days that the king of Egypt died, And the children of Israel sighed by reason of the bondage. And they cried, and their cry came up unto Elohim, which means God, by reason of the bondage. And Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. Here it says Avraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. And Elohim saw the children of Israel, and Elohim took cognizance of them.
Chapter 3. Now Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. So he led the flock to the farthest end of the wilderness, coming to the mountain of God. Horeb. Then the angel of Adonai, Adonai means Lord, appeared to him in a flame of fire from within a bush. So he looked and saw the bush burning with fire, yet it was not consumed. Moses thought, I will go now and see this great sight. Why is the bush not burned?
Okay, hold on. Before we continue, she said Adonai means Lord, but the actual word that's used there is Yod He Vav He. Yod He Vav He is the name of God, Yahuwah, and that. Oh no, it's in the Torah.
Really?
Moshe wrote it.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's here. It's just that it wasn't later revealed, but Moses wrote it in the Torah.
Okay. When Adonai saw that, he turned to look. He called to him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. So he answered, Hineni, meaning, I'm here. Then he said, Come no closer. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. So Moses hid his face, because he was afraid to look at God. Then Adonai said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cry, because of their slave masters, for I know their pains. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, to bring them up out of that land into a good and large land, a land flowing with milk and honey, into the place of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Now behold, the cry of Bnei Israel has come to me. Moreover, I have seen the oppression that the Egyptians have inflicted on them. Come now, I will send you to Pharaoh, so that you may bring my people, Bnei Israel, out of Egypt. So he said, I will surely be with you, so that there will be a sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. But Moses said to God, Suppose I go to Bnei Israel and say to them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they ask me, What is his name? What should I say to them? God answered Moses, I am who I am. Then he said, You are to say to Bnei Israel, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, You are to say to Bnei Israel, Adonai, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Yitzhak, and the God of Yaakov, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and my name by which I should be remembered from generation to generation.
So this is the part where it says Yod He Vav He.
Go now, gather the elders of Israel together, and say to them, Adonai, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, has appeared to me, saying, I have been paying close attention to you, and I have seen what is done to you in Egypt. So I promise, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt, into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, to a land flowing with milk and honey. They will listen to your voice, so you will go, you along with the elders of Israel, to the king of Egypt, and say to him, Adonai, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Now please, let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness, so that we may sacrifice to Adonai our God. Nevertheless, I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go, except by a mighty hand. So I will stretch out my hand and strike Egypt with all my wonders that I will do in the midst of it. After that he will let you go. Then I shall grant these people favor in the eyes of the Egyptians. So it will happen that when you go, you will not leave empty-handed. Every woman is to ask her neighbor and the woman who lives in her house for silver and gold, jewelry and clothing. You will put them on your sons and your daughters, so you will plunder the Egyptians.
So I think it's important to state that 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 the God of Israel, the God of Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, literally tells them who they're going out to worship. Because each time she said Adonai, it's literally Jehovah or Yahovah. Yod He Vav He. So he's being very clear to Pharaoh who it is that they are going out to worship. And Moshe answered and said, chapter 4, But behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, The Master has not appeared unto you. And Yod He Vav He said unto him, What is that in your hand? He said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the earth. And he cast it on the earth. And it became a serpent, and Moshe fled from before it. And Yod He Vav He said unto Moshe, Put forth your hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and laid hold of it, and it became a rod in his hand. That they may believe that Yod He Vav He, the Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzhak, and the Elohim of Yaakov, has appeared unto you. And Yod He Vav He said furthermore unto him, Put now your hand into your bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous, as white as snow. And he said, Put your hand back into your bosom. And he put his hand back into his bosom, and when he took it out of his bosom, behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe you, neither hearken to the voice of the first sign, they will believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall come to pass, if they will not believe these 2 signs, neither hearken unto your voice, that you shall take of the water of the river, and pour it upon the dry land, and the water which you take out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. And Moshe said unto Jehovah, O Jehovah, I am not a man of words, neither hereto nor since you have spoken unto your servant, for I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. And Jehovah said unto him, Who has made man's mouth? Or who makes a man dumb or deaf, or seeing or blind? Is it not I? Yod He Vav He. Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth, and teach you what you shall speak. And he said, O Jehovah, send, I pray you, by the hand of him whom you will send. And the anger of Jehovah was kindled against Moshe. And he said, Is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levi? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he comes forth to meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. And you shall speak unto him, and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. And he shall be your spokesman unto the people. And it shall come to pass that he shall be to you a mouth, and you shall be to him in God's stead. And you shall take in your hand this rod, which you shall do the signs. And Moshe went and returned to Yitro, his father-in-law, and said unto him, Let me go, I pray you, and unto my brothers that are in Egypt, and see whether they yet be alive. And Yitro said to Moshe, Go in peace. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead that sought your life. And Moshe took his wife and his sons, and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moshe took the rod of Elohim in his hand. And Yahuwah said unto Moshe, When you go back into Egypt, see that you do before Pharaoh all the wonders which I have put in your hand. But I will harden his heart, and he will not let the people go. And you shall say unto Pharaoh, Thus says Yahuwah, Israel is my son, my firstborn, and I have said unto you, Let my son go, that he may serve me. And you have refused to let him go. Behold, I will slay your son, your firstborn. And it came to pass on the way at the lodging place, that Yahuwah met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a flint, and cut off the foreskin of her son, and cast it at his feet. And she said, Surely a bridegroom of blood are you to me. So he let him alone. Then she said, A bridegroom of blood in regard of the circumcision. And Yahuwah said to Aaron, Go into the wilderness to meet Moshe. And he went, and met him in the mountain of Elohim, and kissed him. And Moses, said to Aaron all the words of Yahuwah, with which he had sent him, and all the signs with which he had charged him. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spoke all the words which Yahuwah had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed, and when they heard that Yahuwah had remembered the children of Israel, and that he had seen their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshipped. Chapter 5.
Afterward, Moses and Aaron went and said to Pharaoh, This is what Adonai, God of Israel, says, Let my people go, so that they may hold a feast for me in the wilderness. But Pharaoh said, Who is Adonai, that I should listen to his voice and let Israel go? I do not know Adonai, and besides, I will not let Israel go. They answered, The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please let us take a 3 days' journey into the wilderness, so that we may sacrifice to Adonai our God, or Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Or else he may strike us with pestilence or with the sword. But the king of Egypt said to them, Why do you, Moses and Aaron, make the people break loose from their work? Go to your labors. Then Pharaoh said, Look, the people of the land are now so numerous, yet you would have them rest from their labors? Then on the same day Pharaoh commanded the slave masters of the people and foremen, saying, You are not to give the people any more straw to make bricks as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, but impose on them the quota of bricks that they made previously. Don't reduce it, for they are lazy. That's why they cry out, saying, Let us go sacrifice to our God. Let even heavier work be laid upon the men, so that they must labor, paying no attention to deceptive words. Then the slave masters of the people went out along with their officers, and they spoke to the people, saying, This is what Pharaoh says, I will not give you straw. Go and get straw for yourselves wherever you can find it. So there will be no reduction of your work. So the people were scattered throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. But the slave masters pressured, saying, Fulfill your work, your daily amount, just as when there was straw. Moreover, the 4 men of Bnei Israel, whom Pharaoh's slave masters had set over them, were beaten, and asked, Why haven't you met your quota for bricks, both yesterday and today, like before? The 4 men of Bnei Israel came and cried out to Pharaoh, saying, Why do you deal this way with your servants? No straw is given to your servants, yet they say to us, Make bricks. And look, your servants are beaten, but it is your own people at fault. But he said, Lazy, you're lazy. That's why you're saying, Let us go and sacrifice to Adonai. So go now and work. No straw will be given to you, but you must deliver the quota of bricks." So the foremen of Bnei Israel saw that they were in trouble when they were told, "You are not to reduce the number of bricks from day to day." Then they met Moshe and Aaron, who were waiting for them as they came from Pharaoh. So they said to them, "May Adonai look on you and judge, because you made us a stench in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants, putting a sword in their hand to kill us." So Moses returned to Adonai and said, "Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, why have you brought evil on these people? Is this why you sent me? Ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought evil on these people. You have not delivered your people at all."
Go ahead and read that last verse, the first.
Okay. Adonai said to Moses, "Now you will see what I am going to do to Pharaoh. By way of a strong hand, he will let them go and drive them out of his land."
Okay, that is the portion out of the Torah. We will stop this recording and continue the portion in Isaiah.